Hi, I'm Suki. Welcome to Getting Psychic, where you can listen to me use myself to test the theory that anyone can get psychic. Hello, and welcome to Getting Psychic. I'm your host, Suki, and I'm here with MJ Pureza. MJ is a gifted intuitive and psychic based in Sydney, Australia. With a background in graphic design and a profound spiritual awakening at age 17, she blends creative problem solving with deep spiritual insights. MJ's passion lies in guiding others on their healing journeys with a grounded and friendly approach. Welcome, MJ.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. How are you?
Oh, my pleasure. I'm great. I'm so glad you're here.
Yeah, me too.
So let's just dive in. I like to start at the beginning.
Sure.
What are your earliest memories of a non-physical reality?
Oh, good question. I think for myself, it was probably the dream space. Like ever since I was a child, I had very, very, very vivid dreams. And I could remember them every single night without fail. And so I would bore people on the bus, going to school. And I didn't realize that it wasn't normal to be so vivid. And I used to sleepwalk, and then I used to have dream premonitions as well. And so I
Oh my
think that was
gosh.
kind of like my first foray into that whole sort of there could be something else out there kind of thing. But I didn't really twig as to what that meant until I was older. And then dream work is actually a huge part of what I do today as well. But dreams, really got into crystals. I got given some cards at a young age, like tarot cards. So I started playing with that in my teens. And I think sort of being slowly introduced to that sort of world really started to plant some seeds for when I really started to dive in, if that makes sense, which kind of
Totally.
coincided with my chronic illness health journey as well.
Totally. So, how do you use dream insights today?
Okay, so with my dream work, it'll come through as either I'm actually healing people in the dream world that I have no idea who they are, but I'm there to either give them some healing, send them a message, that sort of thing. Other times I will receive messages from other people's passed over loved ones, and it's a message to pass through. That happened once where I was just chatting with a girl, and she was a girlfriend of a friend. The next day I woken up and I was like, oh, I think I dreamt about her grandfather, but this was really awkward. Like, how do I let her know that there's a message from him? And so I kind of like approached the subject through her boyfriend, and she was so touched. Like, she was just happy that she had received a message from him. So they're often unintentional. I don't necessarily control it, but there is obviously some kind of signal that goes off when I enter like the astral, where it's like, okay, open for business. So yeah, it's either I'm doing dream healing, I'm either receiving messages for people, or sometimes I'll even just get an awareness of a friend who might be going through an issue. So the next day I kind of check in with them and be like, hey, how's it going? Like, I dreamt about you last night. Are you struggling with something by any chance? And it's always been spot on as well. I often heal pets in dreams too. That's been coming through a little bit more recently. And then lately I get a bit more of some galactic downloads, but they often sort of come through in between the waking and the sleep state. So like just as I wake up, suddenly I'll just get this download of information. And I'm like, oh, I've got to write this down. So yeah, it's quite varied. Last night I had a lucid dream where I realized I was dreaming. I was like, oh wait, I'm in a dream now. So I'm just going to fly around the room. And that's exactly what I did. And then I was having to go and discover some kind of emblem that had some negative energy. And then I was sending a lot of light there. And sometimes it's dream work with a group of people, and sometimes it's just myself. So yeah, it's very interesting, very exhausting.
I was
I
going
will
to say, do you wake up feeling rested?
No, but that's what coffee is for, right? It's like, yeah, there's often times where I've just woken up and I'm like, well, I've just been working all night and now let's get to work, like it's just kind of, I've resigned myself to the fact that I'll probably never have a rested sleep because there's just too much to do in the astral space. But, that's
Oh
okay.
my
It's what I signed up
gosh.
for, evidently.
Oh my God. Normal people are like, I've got a 9 to 5. And you're like, I do 24/7.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
We recently had a reading together, and I think you also mentioned that you you mentioned that you had a dream message before our reading, and it was like
Oh, that's
there was like this weird little coin. I don't know. it was a reference
Yes.
and it was a message for our reading, which I thought was like really interesting. So now that it's coming up now, but anyway,
Yeah, I just remembered that too. Yeah.
right. It was really interesting and like so much different types of information coming through. But so you mentioned that you had a serious chronic illness diagnosis at 17, which of course related to what we were discussing, and it coincided with a spiritual awakening. Can you discuss this?
Yeah, so when I was 17, I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis, which is inflammatory bowel disease, which is like in that family of autoimmune diseases. And sort of when you kind of get into that space, once you get one disease, you start to collect them all. So I ended up getting endometriosis later in life, IBS, even though it's not similar, all the things. Uh, but when I was diagnosed with it, obviously I started to seek out Western medicine because that's just like the standard route, but I would never respond well to any of the treatment that they threw at me, and I was on some of the heavier stuff too, like biologicals and, all these sorts of body damaging medications, really, because they end up having worse side effects than the actual disease itself. But anyway, I went on this journey for many, many years. I was probably in, and looking back, I don't know how I sort of managed day to day, but I was in like daily pain. I had to really monitor what I was eating. Had high levels of anxiety because I was constantly in this state of, oh my God, I don't feel very well. And with bowel disease, you need to be very close to a bathroom all the time. Like it's this kind of mentality. So even going out was like a big stressful thing. Yeah, everything was it was a lot to manage. But when Western medication wasn't doing what it was meant to do, I started to seek out alternative therapies. So I went and got kinesiology. I was getting acupuncture. And then I discovered Louise Hay. And that really started to shift things for me because Louise Hay, and incidentally, I was listening to one of her meditations this morning, was talking about like the emotional causes behind disease in the body and how it shows up when we're not connecting with, we're not fully appreciating or understanding why something has come up in the body and sort of understanding where that emotion may have come from and why the energetic block is there and that sort of thing. So when I started to go down that path, that really sort of opened up my world to actually getting in touch with my clairsentience abilities, like that empath abilities. Like I am definitely an empath. I have this hyper awareness of myself, and suddenly learning more about this space was like a remembrance of, hang on, I can also feel what other people are feeling as well. So I could very much be in a room, and if even without someone saying anything, I could tell if they were happy, sad. If they had any pain, I would start to feel that pain on my body as well, which is something that happens in my readings too. And that kind of, yes, it really started to unlock the doors to, hang on, there is something else to, yes, I have this illness, but I don't have to be a victim about it. I can actually sort of empower myself to seek out what else is there to help me understand what's going on and to help me heal myself, basically. So becoming that empowered self-healer, because we can actually all heal ourselves, I believe, but you do really truly have to believe that, I think. When I first started doing Louise Hay, and I'm like, yeah, I'll do my affirmations. I'll get this. It'll be fine. And I ended up still having to get major bowel surgery. I had to get my whole large intestine removed, which was actually a blessing in disguise because once that was gone and out of my system, it's like I actually had the energetic capacity to start to help other people in their healing journey as well. As drastic as that sounds, like I don't regret doing it at all. So yeah,
Yeah, that's an extreme avenue. But that's interesting
yeah,
because we did talk about that, and I think we should officially recommend this book because when I was
mm,
speaking with you, I said, "Listen, I don't have Hashimoto's. I'm just,
yes,
I'm done. Like
yep,
I decline." And so, of
yeah.
course, that's when we started this discussion and you said the book, oh my God, there's an ice cream truck outside now. Hopefully that doesn't
Oh,
get
I
picked
wonder.
up in the recording.
I wonder what that sound was.
God bless
It's
it. Well,
just like
if
talking about life sweetness, right? Like you got to see the sweet with
yeah,
the with the sour,
that's
sweet with the pain. Yeah,
that's our message. So if anyone can
yeah,
hear that ice cream truck, you're welcome.
yeah.
But so let's officially recommend the book. It's by Louise Hay and it's called How to Heal Your Life.
Yes, it's incredible. I think I've gone through about 3 or 4 copies because I'll keep gifting them to people as well. So anytime you have something that comes up in the body, whether it's neck pain, shoulder pain, something with your leg, tooth, whatever, you can actually go and reference this book and she'll give you the emotional cause as to why you might be experiencing this. and it's always spot on. It's incredible.
I know. It's crazy. Well, of course, I take any book recommendation and
Yeah.
consume it. So I started reading it, and I also talked to my sister Elizabeth, who's how we met actually,
Yeah.
about it, and she was like, "Let's like look and see what Louise Hay has to say about Hashimoto's." And she was like, "It's either this like throat chakra stuff, which I don't
Mm.
think you have a problem with, or childhood humiliation." And we were both like, "Ding ding ding."
Oh, wow. I didn't know that for Hashimoto's. I would have thought it was the throat chakra, but yeah.
Yeah, but that resonated so much, and I was like, "Oh, crap."
Well, that's it, right? Once you have that awareness, it's like, okay, well, now I can choose to work through it, release it, all that kind of stuff. Or if you don't, your body's going to let you know that you're out of alignment and, there's still probably a little bit more work to do or a little bit more healing to do or whatever. But yeah, she's incredible. Yeah. So she really
Yeah.
sort of opened my mind to looking at things from that metaphysical perspective as well.
Yeah, it is really cool. Okay, so
Mm,
on that note, what is your perspective on sort of then taking responsibility for our physical ailments?
mm,
Does that lead you to blame yourself in some way? Or do you just look at it like it is just a physical manifestation of an energetic situation?
that's a good question too. I mean, I see people that have health issues and they've got their head in the sand about it. It's almost like they don't want to know what's going on. They just want to take the pills or they just want to just carry on and ignore whatever. But I'm more of that curious soul where it's like, I want to really understand what's going on. I know that there's more beneath the surface. So, and sometimes that does mean taking accountability for our actions or our lifestyle or something that we know we have been out of balance, so we can probably do better for ourselves. Because yeah, at the end of the day, I think it's just empowering ourselves to make our lives easier, to get through life with ease. And once we're kind of in that state and you're in the flow state, that's when abundance can come in. That's when you can reach higher timelines. That's like that kind of good zone. But yeah, if something is out, if you are experiencing some dis-ease, it's not necessarily a bad thing, so to speak. It's just your body letting you know that, hey, something is out of sorts here. So why don't you take the time to like go inward and see what needs to heal? And what's interesting too is sometimes it's not even like we'll have a health issue. Like I remember I've worked with people before where they've got neck pain and it's actually not connected to anything in this life. It's connected to a past life, but it's coming up now for a reason because, it's ready to be brought into the light to, again, heal something. But instead of on that sort of 3D standard kind of what's going on with my body today kind of level, it's like there's something granular, there's something in our soul's remembrance that it's still holding on to that trauma. It's like, no, that's time to come up to be released as well. So I don't know if that answered your question, but I hope that it did.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we got a lot of good stuff out of that response, so that's
Yeah,
cool.
I just sort of
Thank you.
went down a journey there. Sorry.
No, that's great. That is interesting about past life trauma. When you were
Mm,
saying it, I was almost looking at it like, wow, that's pretty cool that somehow it's like a gift. It's like somehow in this life, we're suited or like in a place where we can be allowed to heal this past life thing. So it almost seems like a positive
yeah,
situation.
absolutely. Absolutely, I agree. Like again, it comes down to that awareness. It's like it and being safe enough to be in a place where you are ready to heal as well. Like
Mhm.
rather than carrying around this trauma that's so deep within. Because I think sometimes when we are carrying trauma from past lives as well, we can be unnecessarily triggered by, people, situations, places, things, and we're not quite sure why. And if it's not sort of something from this life, it can be connected to that past life. But yet again, it's kind of coming up for a reason because it's ready to be let go of. Incidentally, I had a reading for myself recently, and I had already had a download that I know because I've had my bowel issues and health issues. I have IBS and stuff as well still, so I have to be pretty careful with all of that side of things. I had a download that I probably had a past life where I had an issue with food. And then I had this great Akashic Records reading with Todd Bryson, actually, and he confirmed that. But he also said, you had many, many, many lifetimes where you had issues with food. People used food to manipulate you. You didn't have access to food, or lifetimes where you did have access to food, it was toxic, it was poison or something. So when you ate it, you got very sick. And I was just like, whoa, like it made a lot of sense that I have, like, I can't eat, I'm allergic to onions and garlic and apples, like
Oh
stuff that you
God.
think is like nature's, things to help us. But like, if I eat that, I'll be really sick. So it's interesting to see how that kind of stuff has a knock-on effect in this life too. So I'm working to sort of heal. We did release a lot of that past life stuff, but I think also healing is it's a continuous journey. We're healing every day, and sometimes you think one part of you is healed, but actually there's just another layer sort of beneath, ready to come up again, like an onion,
God.
probably.
I was going to say, speaking of onions.
Yeah. So it's
Oh
kind of that
God.
continued journey. And I think we do have to be gentle with ourselves and a cheerleader for ourselves on that journey too. And be curious, like instead of getting wound up, upset, I do call it that kind of victim mindset where, we're dealing with something. And if we kind of go, oh, it's too hard. I mean, yes, it's very valid to get upset and frustrated and angry and all the things. But also, I mean, Louise Hay has a great technique where it's like when you're holding on to that anger, if you don't release it, it's just going to, stay within the body. So she actually recommends like hitting a pillow as hard as you can and keep hitting it until, and you sort of, I'm probably butchering this. Sorry, Louise Hay.
Sorry,
Check the book.
Louise.
But yeah, you keep hitting the pillow and you just kind of keep like talking and releasing until you kind of get to the crux of what that like real deep down emotional issue is, why you're really holding on to that anger, but it helps to kind of release it all too.
Okay, so what do you do with that information? You got that reading and you found out, whoa, I've had many past lives with this situation.
Yeah.
Or this pain or this intolerance or this anger. How do you use that personally? How do you use information from past lives to support your current one?
Great question. I like to use it either in meditation for intentional self-healing as well, or even some journaling sometimes. To be fair, I haven't sat down and journaled about this one, but I do want to take some time to do that. But I love to meditate. I think we were talking about like meditating in the bath. Were we talking about that at one point? Yeah, I feel like that's also a really great place for me to just do healing because you're kind of in your own zone. Water and salt, super cleansing. So I kind of go into that space and then I will intentionally sort of like reflect back on what those potential past lives are and just call them up to be released. And it's just almost like this acknowledgement of, yes, I was carrying that, but letting my soul know it's safe to let go now. Don't need to be carrying those same energies, traumas, reactions, inflammatory reactions in this life. And also using it to have the awareness of like blessing my food, which is actually something I had already been doing. And again, Todd confirmed that, hey, you should be blessing your food. I'm like, I'm on it. Already on it.
I'm on it, Todd.
Yeah. But thank you for the validation. But yeah, there's this sense of appreciating what does actually go in my body, what I am consuming. And I think that kind of extends to not just food, but, being out in the sunshine and connecting to the sun and being out in nature and Gaia and connecting to that energy and things as well. So kind of like taking it and maybe even using it as like a filter for making lifestyle shifts to make my life a little bit easier for myself moving forward too. So I do find that there is, great awareness and being able to tap into some of that stuff because it allows you to sort of see yourself from a different perspective as well. Like a little bit like astrology or human design. It's just allowing yourself to see you from a different perspective and just to understand more of how you work, I think.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. It seems like such a great opportunity to learn about all of that stuff in this life. And I was just thinking, I bet your other lives didn't get to know about their past lives.
Probably didn't. They were just like,
you're the special one.
Yeah. Now it's like, okay, let's remember them all. It's like, ooh.
Oh my God. Yeah, you're probably somehow messing with them. So sorry, guys.
Well, yeah. Well, I say past lives, but it's like parallel lives too, right? It's all kind of all happening at the same time. Like I'll have, speaking of dreams, I'll have dreams where I'm like, I think that was just me living another life, like a parallel life.
Oh
It
my
just
God.
feels so vivid, so real, but it'll just be like a little bit off in some way. Wake up
Oh
going,
my
what was that?
God.
Yeah. I do Akashic dream work healing too, but yeah, that's another
Okay,
thing.
so that's
Yeah.
one thing I skipped asking you earlier. How do you
Mm.
document your dreams? Do you have all the notebooks by your bedside, or do you record it with your voice, or what do you do?
Do you know what? I think if I had done that, I probably have I would have a whole room full of journals. So I only write down the really potent ones because I'll remember 3 or 4 dreams a night. And unless like I get some kind of major download where I just write them down. I used to have an app in my phone and I would just pop them into notes because I find it easier. Like
Yeah.
I had a dream earlier in the week where I was hanging out with Taylor Swift. Strange. I'm not actually a fan of her, but I was like, oh, hey, how's it going? Nice to meet you. It was just one of these sort of random things. But if I do have a dream before I have a reading for a client that day, like I did for yourself, I'll make a note of that too, because I'm like, I think there's going to be something that comes through, or otherwise it'll just come up in the reading. Like my guides will be like, hey, that dream you had last night is connected to this session today, so let them know. So I do kind of find the ones that I'm really meant to recall. I do get them out in some way.
Okay, so back to illness. Do you think that sometimes there is a correlation between illness and psychic abilities?
100%. I think I've noticed that so many amazing psychics also do have some sort of autoimmune disease. And I think it's because we're just sensitive souls, like there's something that our body's gone through, which also, oh, interesting. So it's almost like I just got a download then. It's almost like whatever shifts that are happening in our body on that level, it's almost like we become receptors to these external energies that are around us that we can be more aware of that, maybe an average person doesn't have that sort of awareness.
Mhm.
If that makes sense. It's almost like we
Yeah.
become an antenna of, yeah, sorry, I just got that download then. I haven't really thought about it in that way before. That makes sense, right?
MJ, don't apologize for getting downloads on Getting Psychic.
It's the platform for it.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? Oh, yeah. So, like for myself, clairsentience is one of my strongest gifts, but also claircognizance is actually really strong, which I like to say is probably more, this will make me sound not humble, but, more one of those advanced gifts, but only because it's so hard to discern whether the information is coming from yourself, your ego, or is it coming from source or your guides or something else. So it's just one of those trickier ones to fully trust and to step into.
Mhm.
But I do know a lot of people with autoimmune diseases that are also, they can see ghosts. They can tap into. I also do some mediumship. It's not my sort of focus these days, but I've never been able to see ghosts. But like I have other friends that can kind of do that also have autoimmune. But yeah, there's just something about I think our body being wired in a different way that it's almost like we have this ability to just sort of tap into stuff a little bit easier. But that's not to
Yeah.
say that anyone can't tap into their intuitive abilities, because I absolutely believe anyone can, but there just does seem to be a correlation between going through some sort of trauma in the body to unlock and awaken something. And then that comes with the remembrance and your abilities being switched on and all that kind of stuff too.
Yeah. I have a lot. I'm like trying to decide if I want to keep. Yeah, I can go into this. Okay. So are you comfortable telling the story of manifesting your surgery outcome?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I didn't know that this was going to be a podcast about disease and illness,
No.
but I do think that it, like we just established, will resonate with our audience for sure.
Yeah.
So on our topic of Louise Hay and healing your life, you told this story.
Yes. So when I got, sorry, oh, I'll start that again. Throat chakra clearing.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So when I got very, very sick with my illness, ulcerative colitis, it got to the point where I was failing all Western medications like biologic treatments, which is basically like cancer kind of drugs, all this sort of stuff. So I was getting very, very unwell. Then they did discover that I had pre-bowel cancer cells and recommended that I get a total colectomy and an ileostomy bag. So I went through that process. It was actually like life 2.0 for me. Once I had my disease toxic organ out of my body, I was just like, oh my God, like I feel so good. I feel so much better. I really started to tap a bit more into my abilities and things as well. And then I went through this process called a J pouch, where they actually remove, so instead of living with an ostomy bag with a bag outside of your body, they actually remove that and internalize your plumbing again, so to speak. That's like a very simplified version where I can go to the toilet like a normal human again. And that process is, or that surgery is like a 2-step surgery, very, very taxing on the body. I don't think I have been so physically tested and drained in my life, but it also has a 30% chance of being successful, a 30% chance of your life quality of life is going to be a little bit bad, but maybe not bad enough to go back to a bag, or 30% chance of absolute failure. And you have to go back to an ostomy bag for life. Like there's no other option for you if it fails. And when I heard that 30, or the 33 odds, I went, you know what? I'm going to get that top 33%. I'm going to have a successful J pouch. It's going to be amazing. I'm going to make it work. And so the few weeks leading up to this surgery, I had actually written down a bunch of affirmations or manifestations. And I probably didn't realize that's kind of what I was doing at the time. But I was like, no, I just want to change my mindset. Because like once you can kind of shift your mindset, that has that knock-on effect in the body too. So I was really preparing myself for this surgery. And one of the things I remember writing down was, I have a fantastic J pouch. I have an amazing J pouch. I heal well, like all these things. And I would read it every night out loud about 3 times minimum, just before I go to bed, because there's something about writing manifestations and like tapping into your subconscious mind right before the sleep state. And then it helps to kind of like integrate while you're sleeping. And so I did this every night before bed. And then when I woke up, so surgery day came. Yes, I was nervous, but I was like, no, I got this. This will be fine. And when I woke up in the ICU after surgery, yes, I was on heavy doses of morphine. I remember my surgeon came in and the very first thing he said to me was, your J pouch is fantastic. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? I know I'm kind of high right now, but what did you say? And he's like, yep, your J patch is fantastic. Your surgery went well. And I'm like, oh my God, it was like the exact thing that I had written down on my manifestation list. And it's kind of a bizarre thing for a surgeon to say. Like I have had surgery with him before. He's a fantastic surgeon. I was in great hands. But, you usually say the surgery went well, you did well. But to say my J pouch is fantastic, that kind of blew my mind. And it also kind of, let me know that we can shape our reality, with our words, like to be really intentional with what we put out there. And it will have that manifestation ripple effect where it's like you start to see that come around you. And it was that's also when they discovered I had endometriosis. So I kind of got a 2-for-1 surgery. He removed my endo scarring. So the recovery from that was really hard. And this was interesting too. I had this divine timing so from the surgery 1 to surgery 2, I had to have like an internal healing process during that time for the J pouch. And the surgeries, they were about 12 weeks apart, but I think they ended up doing mine at about 10 or 11. And when they went and did the reversal surgery, when I woke up from that surgery, he actually said if I had waited any longer, they wouldn't have been able to do, they call it the takedown surgery, where they reconnect the plumbing. Because of the way that my body had healed, it was almost like healed and kind of closed over. I won't go into details too much. But yeah, anyway, it was divine timing because they were like, if we'd waited any longer, you wouldn't have actually been able to have that reversal stage of the surgery. You would have had to gone back to a bag. So I definitely have like my guides on my side, my angels on my side. I've got that team around me that when we ask for that support, we ask for that help, they are there to guide us and they are there to help our lives, again, be a little bit easier, be a little bit better, bring that magic in. And yeah, I'm just kind of grateful for the way that all kind of unfolded because I could not have anticipated any of that. But also I set the intention for it to be as positive as it could be. And yeah, that's ended up manifesting in that way. So
yeah, that's so cool. Thank you for sharing that.
No worries.
You are the boss. You took charge.
Thank you. I did. And that's what you have to do. You got to empower yourself. So
yeah, that's
worth
great.
it. The benefits are there.
Yeah, I think that's important to share. So how long have you been offering sessions to people, by the way?
Officially? Probably since COVID time, I would think. Around 2020.
Yeah. So what was it like to start?
It was interesting. Well, I had been doing card readings for years. Like I learned to read tarot. And so I was always doing that for people in my 20s, but more for like people in my office, like, oh, MJ reads cards. Can I go get a reading with her? And I'm like, yeah. And it was just like kind of practice and sort of fun. And then I remember there was one day, one of my very good friends, she knew how good I was with cards, but I was kind of still a bit, it's that little bit of that imposter syndrome, a little bit of that, I don't know, is it good enough? Anyway, she volunteered for me to do a reading for her friend, and her friend's like, I want to pay you, and like gave me money. And from there, I was just like, oh my gosh, I can do this as a thing. And so I really used cards as like a basis for my readings in the beginning. I also incorporated Reiki into that. I actually won a Reiki course about 10 years ago. Spirit was like, you know what? It's time. I won this course. I'm like, okay, I'm doing Reiki now. And I actually loved it, but I kind of put it on the backside. Like once you're attuned to Reiki, I think it's such a beautiful thing because it actually opens you up to like universal light healing energies. And I actually recommend a lot of people I see or a lot of light workers I connect with to do Reiki if they haven't already, because that attunement process is almost like this foundational kind of energy opening for you to be able to start to take it and make it your own sort of thing. So yeah, initial sessions were sort of infusion of Reiki and cards. And then I started to tap into the Akashic records. And then I realized I don't actually need all my cards. And so now my sessions are more focused around, tapping into insights and Akashic records. I will still use my body. If there's anything coming up in the body for my client, I can sort of interpret what that means. We can kind of work through those energetic blocks. And then I also kind of work with my spiritual team of light. So they encompass everyone from like the galactics. I work very strongly, is that the right word? I work with the Pleadians, the Lemurians. I also work with Ascended Masters, Archangel Raphael, Michael, Haniel, all the angels. Ganesha comes up a lot for me recently as well. He comes through in sessions to kind of create ease and abundance in people's lives. So I kind of work with this big team, and whoever wants to come forward on the day for that person's session is who comes forward, and it's always with the highest of light and intention and awareness, and just to help unblock things and create those timeline shifts to get people up into that really good frequency where they can empower themselves moving forward too.
Hmm. I have this question here that says, did you accumulate access to different beings over time, or did like Archangel Michael come into your field of perception holding hands with a Lemurian? because
Oh, that's such a great visual.
because like our session was filled with information. There were Lemurians. They were all up in our shit. There were archangels, book recommendations, you name it.
Yeah. It's
So,
like,
how did that unfold for you as a
yeah. I
healer?
just sort of, I open it all up and I just see what comes through. And the amount of like recommendations and stuff too is a lot. But I think it started, I work with the Reiki masters. So I actually started more calling them into my space. Archangel Michael kind of made himself known through some meditations that I was doing. And I'm like, hey, maybe I can ask him to come into a healing session as well. So it was almost like I would kind of get this like introduction of them first and then just call them into a session. And so that's probably how most of them were coming through. And then like Pleiadians and Lemurians, I love working with their energy. Both of them have gifted me like energy healing techniques from both of them, which I think I shared one with yourself as well. We did that activation attunement.
Mhm,
Uh, but yeah, so when I open up the space now, it's almost like the team is there and each of them kind of bring a different element. Like I always use Archangel Michael to cut and clear any energy cords. Archangel Raphael will come through with the heart healing energy. The Pleiadians and Lemurians very much work with the throat chakra and the throat healing energies. Lemurians are just this overall beautiful gold light healing energetics that they kind of work with, which also is very connected to anything in the past, any past life stuff. I call them in. So yeah, even though they probably didn't all come in hand at the start, they've kind of made themselves known. And sometimes it depends on the session too. Like I will suddenly get Isis showing up for someone. I'm like, oh, I've not really connected with them before. Or like Hathor will show up and I'm like, not really connected with them before, but it'll be because that's part of the guides for that person that I'm connecting with as well. So again, I just open up the space and see who wants to come through.
yeah, so on that note, what advice would you give for someone that's curious about connecting with, say, Archangel Michael or
Yeah.
some entity that they're just sort of drawn to?
Yeah. I think if you're drawn to them, that's like the first step to having that awareness that they probably want to work with you and they're probably there to work with you as well. That's always kind of, oh, I got my chills. That's a yes. That's always like the first step for, I think, anything. As soon as you're curious about something, that's like, that's your gateway. That's your pathway towards, yes, this is an avenue for me to go and check out. Like it kind of sparks a bit of passion with you. They say the same
Hmm.
thing with Akashic Records, right? Like as soon as you start to get interested in that space, it's like, yes, it's because you were meant to go down that path. But yeah, for
Hmm.
Archangel Michael, any of the angels, any of the beings, you just have to ask for their connection. So if you wanted to start working with them, it's probably great to do that in meditation and just to call on their presence and see what comes through. I know for different people, they will come through in different ways. Like, despite being a graphic designer and having crazy visual, vivid dreams, my clairvoyance is I get shown things, but it's almost kind of like a memory. I'm remembering a visual, if that makes sense, rather than I know some people can like see a figure in front of them and it's like clear as day. I don't necessarily get it like that. I get more of a sense, like I know that's Archangel Michael's energy. He's sort of associated with the blue color for me, sometimes red color. It sort of depends on the day. So it's almost like asking them to connect with you, feeling what they feel like to you, because they might come through differently for you than other people. Sometimes I might come with a scent or a smell or just like a joyful feeling or even like a cold sensation, like you can kind of um almost like play in that space and see how it shows up for you. But something else I was going to say with him. No, it's gone. That's it too. The more I channel, it's just like I'll find that it just kind of goes off into the ethers. If it comes back to me, I'll say it. But yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's just, starting that relationship, being like, you have to ask to receive though. Like they're there to help you, but if you don't ask for them, they don't know that they can come in because it's free will, right? They can't interfere unless we actually ask for that assistance.
Yeah, that's really good advice.
Ask them for signs too. Like, get them to send you something. Say, hey, can you send me a red rose today, Archangel Michael? I'll put it out there and see what comes back. And that's kind of like again, kind of like that validation connection point to let you know that there's something there too.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to do that more. That's really good advice.
Yeah.
And they don't let you down either. That's the crazy part.
That's it. Yeah. And do you know what's funny? I had been asking the angels to send me a gold coin. Like I'm just kind of playing with that. Like, send me a gold coin. And then you just mentioned the gold coin that came through in your dream.
Oh, shoot.
When we had our session, I was like, there it is.
Oh my
And that's
gosh.
it too. Like sometimes the symbols or the signs will show up in a way that you didn't expect. So to be open to that as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm going to put you on the spot.
sure.
So I think it was 2 days ago. You know how sometimes you're going through your life and you're like, oh, I'm receiving notifications and you're like, it's obvious that someone's trying to tell you something. I think this was
Mm,
like a form of support and validation for being on the right path, but I kind of want to run this by you. So
yeah.
it was just hilarious the amount of times that feathers showed themselves to me. Okay,
Yeah.
so there was like a feather on my foster puppy's nose, and I noticed it and thought it was cute, and he tried to eat it, and I laughed. Then I went into work, and my coworker immediately showed me this video of her cat eating a feather, and then seconds later, one of my good friends texts me a feather emoji and then says that she had a dream about me, and then this is going to be so boring. Sorry, everyone,
No.
I'm. But then my husband sends me a paint swatch for like the facade of my new business, and the color name is Dove's Wing, and I'm like, okay,
Wow.
I got it.
Yeah.
But there was like there started to be an energy generating with it that made it very
Yeah.
clear to me that it was something. So I just wanted your thoughts on that.
Yeah. 100%. I mean, the fact that it showed up in so many different ways in such a short span of time is
Yeah, it was
definitely
like
a message.
hammering me.
Yeah, and all the different ways, like phone, in your actually in front of you, all that sort of stuff. And from other people too, like especially when you get it from other people, it's like your guides find a way to get that message through, or spirit finds a way to get it through to you. Um, did you want to tap into what it means?
Yeah.
Do you feel, was there something on your mind recently where you're kind of trying to like decide something, or you're kind of a little bit unsure of something? If you want to,
I mean, there's lots on my mind right now, but I don't think that there was like a either or kind of situation on my mind,
yeah,
but there was something where I feel like I took a step towards something
gotcha.
like
Okay,
that morning.
that will be it. Because like it's either going to be, I generally do see feathers as like a validation that we are on the right path. That's kind of like my number one thing with feathers, or sometimes it could be like a sign from our loved ones in spirit. Sorry, I thought I saw something fly through the room then.
It was a feather.
If that was a feather, that would be wild. It was just white and kind of drifted. But then if you felt like you were starting to take steps in a direction that you're meant to be going in, 100%. It's almost like they just showered your path with feathers, because it's like, yes, this is the way forward. So keep going in that direction. I'm getting all my chills. So yeah, 100%, whatever you sort of decided on, this is where I'm going, is it absolutely where you're meant to be. Like, I've got chills all the way down my arm. So even though they haven't given me what that is, that's okay. It's just
That's okay.
validation that you are absolutely where you're meant to be. Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. And
That's awesome.
I did feel like once I was like, "Oh, these are coming to me for a reason." And then I had this like warm, beautiful, open feeling, and I was like,
Mhm.
"This is you're on the right path. This is
Yes.
this message." And it
Yes.
was really clear.
And it brings like a sense of comfort too, right? Because it's like you already sort of know within, yeah, I think I'm going to do this. And then to get all those signs, it's just like, wow, yeah, I am doing this. This is exactly what I'm meant to be doing. I'll give you another example too. I had a client that I did a reading for, and I was like, what do moths mean for you? Because I kind of kept seeing moths. And she's like, I'm terrified of moths. I don't like moths. I'm like, okay, well, you might start to see more of them. Sorry. And then she got back to me and she said, oh my God, this moth just kind of came out of nowhere. I don't know what was kind of going on. She was going through this transition phase where she was actually trying to change jobs, get out of a toxic place and into somewhere new. And then anyway, we had another session a little bit later, and she's like, moths keep showing up for me, but I'm not scared of them anymore. But it's weird; they'll show up in strange places. And then she said that she had a moment where she was emailing a client, emailing her last job to say goodbye, and a moth showed up out of nowhere in her office at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And I was like, that's just incredible. Like, spirit will find a way. And for her now, moths kind of represent transformation, transition, like moving through change. But what's funny is she emailed me on like the Friday, and the next day I was at the beach, 10 o'clock in the morning, just enjoying some sunshine. And then a moth just came out of nowhere and flew and landed on me. And I'm like, wait, what? So it's almost like spirit kind of like creates these beautiful synchronicities between, like shared experiences almost. And that was just, again, another validation, because I let her know and I'm like, hey, found this moth randomly on the beach, thought of you. Like, again, it's kind of like you are on that right path, but just kind of getting the external validations in other ways. And then I had a moth on my window yesterday too. So yeah, moths are around.
Yeah. Yeah, it is fun. They do work. They do send messages through friends too.
Yeah, absolutely. Or sometimes you'll find someone will say something and it's just like, whoa, where did that come from? Like it'll be really like crazy eloquent and amazing advice. It's like, I think you just channeled my
Yeah.
guide.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny. So we have to talk about your oracle cards.
Yes. Da, da, da.
Yeah, they're amazing. I've played with them with my sister. I need to order a deck.
Oh,
But
yay.
how did these come to be? And please just tell us about them.
So I created these cards a couple of years ago, and because I had learned to read cards on tarot, I know tarot is very detailed. There's so many different meanings for each card, and I would pore over the descriptions to try and like figure out and interpret the meanings and all that kind of thing. And then I kind of switched to oracle cards, and I started to like the openness of oracle and how it's sort of a little bit easier to interpret. But I kept finding myself being tripped up by guidebooks at times, because I felt like it kind of got me out of my flow. And I'm like, oh no, I just want to be able to, because I think sometimes, like when you go and second guess yourself, it's like, I think I know what this means. Let me check the guidebook. Like you almost like, you kind of undo a little bit of that really good work that you already have within, like go with that initial intuition and that initial instinct. So anyway, I was
Totally.
like, oh, maybe I could create an oracle deck, which like just makes it easy for people. and doesn't have a guidebook. And I was sort of thinking about this in meditation one day, and then boom, I just got this download of, oh my God, this is what it's going to be. And I just sat down and I just channeled all the different card names. So I had initially done it where each card is like a 4-letter word. And then each of those cards have got a couple of, I don't know
Which
why I went with,
ones?
oh yeah, I know I need to do like a PG-18 deck and put all like the
Right.
fun words in there. No, but I don't know why I went down that path. So like easy oracle, that's 4-letter word, and then I would do like ease, flow, uh, hold, mind, like all that kind of stuff. But then each card
Yeah.
would actually have all of the intentions and the messages on there. So
Mhm.
when you pull the cards, it's like boom, you can see it straight away what that message is. But because I'm a graphic designer, it's like, well, let's bring these passions together, my channeling abilities, my ability to create the artwork. And so I created every single piece, like layers and layers in Photoshop, which I know a lot of decks these days are created with AI artwork, and that just doesn't sit right with me. Not only because maybe I'm a little bit of a purist, but it doesn't have the same soul as someone that, has actually spent a lot of time creating that piece. So I think that is evident when you connect with those decks, though. I have, sort of seen that out in the world where people don't sort of resonate with it as much. But while I was creating this artwork, I actually infused all the Reiki energy that I have or I called in, and I put that Reiki energy into the deck too. So with the intention of making it easy for people to connect with their intuition and making it easy for them to get into that flow state and to trust the messages that come through. And the accuracy of the deck still surprises me to this day. Like, yeah,
So cool.
it's crazy at times. Yeah.
Yeah, congratulations. I mean, I know
Yeah,
people
thank you.
love these cards. So,
Well, yeah, I wanted to create a deck that actually had some balance in it as well. So there's a couple of darker cards, so to speak. No, I'll say denser energy cards. So we've got like a liars card, and we have, I'll have to have a look and see what it is. But you see the liars card, it's got like darker coloring. It seems a little bit more intense, and you're like, oh, what's going to go on here? But it's actually just, again, like a reflection point that there's something in your life that is a little bit off balance. There could be someone that's
mhm.
lying to you. Are you lying to yourself? Like, there's a lot of different ways to kind of interpret the cards based on how you're feeling on the day, or if you're reading for someone else, like their energies of the day. So, yeah, I feel like you kind of do get that top level. This is the instant message, but it also opens up for you being able to interpret it on a deeper level that suits you and your energy. Yeah, for the reading.
Amazing. To clarify, you channeled the information and the
Yeah.
imagery for the card, and then you
Yes.
designed them
Yeah.
yourself, and then you sent
Yeah,
them out to get
self-published.
printed.
I used a printer in Australia. I wanted to keep everything nice and local
Love
rather
it.
than printing them offshore. And I used to hand wrap, or I do hand pack every single deck. So it's almost like I really want to keep that integrity of like, it's my energy into the cards, and sharing it with the world. And it's so amazing to see where they end up too. Like, I have a lot of orders from Japan. Japan is like my most favorite country. So every time I get to send one to Japan, I do a little happy dance wherever I get to send cards to, because I know that they're just going to help people on their own intuitive journeys. But yeah, it's just been really lovely to be able to share that creativity in a way that's helping others connect with their soul's wisdom.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're sharing your amazing energy across the planet.
That's it. Yeah. Spreading light wherever we can go, Yeah. That good
So
intention.
cool. Okay, so how can people buy your cards?
Yeah. Currently, they're over on Etsy. So you can check out my Etsy store. I think it's still got my old name on there, Empath MJ. But if you Google Easy Oracle Cards, they should come up on Etsy. Otherwise, you can go to my website, MJ Pureza, PUREZA.com, and there's a link to them from there as well.
Okay, cool. And you can also book readings with MJ on her website, correct?
Yes, that is correct. Yeah. Oh, before we go, do you want me to share the Palladian transmission that came through earlier this week?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so again, like I talk about getting messages in dreams or when I wake up, this came through loud and clear this week, and I wanted to share it because I know some people within the energies at the moment, universal energies, have been like a little bit intense. There's almost like this anticipation kind of energy kind of coming through with shifting timelines and all the things. So they've kind of sent through this message as a little bit of guidance for that. Okay, so they said, There's lots of transmuting happening during this time. Although it may seem like we're not moving forward or making huge progress, it's because we are shifting a lot behind the scenes, clearing out the clutter. It can be a messy job, but it is much needed to make space for what's to come. Be gentle with yourself during this transition. You have what you need to navigate during this time. Once this transmutation stage has occurred, things will begin to flow again, even faster than before, because it will be easier than before. Be aware of what is happening around you, but it may not affect you like it will affect others. Some people may fade out, but stronger connections will remain or step in to take their place, those that are on a similar frequency to you. Be patient and trust the divine timing. You are anticipating the shift, and we are in that stage now, the cocoon of the butterfly. So get ready to spread your wings. We are with you. You are divinely protected, and remember to call on your guides for support. Blessings. So that's kind of what they came through. And during this transitionary time, like on the other side, as we embody all these light codes, like they're saying we might be sleeping more than usual to integrate the light codes. But once we kind of get through that stage, we'll have increased intuitive abilities. They're even saying people might start to have telepathy. They said telegraphy, sending images to each other mentally.
Oh, fun.
Interesting. Yeah. Easier meditations, stronger connection with guide animals, higher connection points with your guides, your ability to transmute dense energies quicker, like all of this stuff, timeline shifting, instant manifestations, like all of this good stuff is kind of waiting on the other side. But it's almost like we're kind of going through, the shadow work, clearing out the clutter, getting rid of what we need in order to sort of step up into these new frequencies and sort of step up into the light where the veil is thinner, that sort of thing. So yeah, different things that you can do to kind of get through this as well. Take some deep breaths. It sounds easy, but rise up your frequency from the root to the chakra, crown chakra with your light, gentle dance movement, massage, sit in the sun, bless your food, like do all these sort of intentional things, journal, release, ask your guides for support, whatever you need to do sort of during this time to kind of get you through that sort of the heavier, denser energies. Like even for me, I felt like I was walking through sand for a while, just like, where is this brain fog coming from? Where is this discomfort coming from? But it's part of the process. Yeah, but we'll get there.
Cool. That's amazing.
Yeah. Thank you for letting me share.
My pleasure. Everyone will be so excited.
Yeah. There's a lot going on in the universe at the moment. So yeah, interesting times.
Well, yeah. So if you've been feeling it, that's why, kids.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you for everything.
Beautiful.
This was super fun. That
Thank
time
you,
just
Suki.
flew right by.
It absolutely did. I loved it. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you. Thanks so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed today's conversation as much as we did. Be sure to subscribe and follow us wherever you get your podcasts so that you never miss a new episode. If you liked today's episode, please consider leaving a review to help the other psychics find their way here.